Hi, good evening. We're going to take a look at the spread of COVID cases in California, as well as the related fatalities. So, California is interesting in that we have data that goes all the way back to January, and there were some initial cases in the Bay Area and Southern California, but we see that things are pretty quiet all the way through February, and we see very few, in fact, kind of no fatalities all the way through until we get to just early March. And then they're outside of the Bay Area here in Placer County, and then in Santa Clara. Then we see, much like the rest of the nation, a lot of expansion, partially coming from testing expansion that goes on, and now we have many more cases, and not too surprisingly, the fatalities correspond to the major population areas. And we have in California some tremendously large counties, probably larger than many countries in Europe. But we see that those are definitely beginning to accumulate more and more fatalities, and then the case count increases until we get to the end of the month, just a couple of days ago here, where we see a few more cases kind of developing in this area. And unfortunately, like what we've seen other times, is the fatalities will then follow. But there's also I think, some really good news in California. So if we look at Santa Barbara, there are 466 cases. Typically, the fatality rates are running anywhere between 1 to 10%. So we would expect somewhere between 5 and maybe even like 40, 50 cases, fatalities there. And those are considerably lower. And I think that's a bit of a trend that we see in California. Some thinking about the high fatality rates of 10 to 12% in Italy may be due to intergenerational living and the relatively high average age in Italy, and the high number of people who still smoke, which thankfully in California, many fewer do. So we'll keep